I don't think that will ever get a junior version.
Oh, or even a school version. Just no.
Friends, welcome back to Call Time a Theater Pod. I'm your host, Marisa Helene Mast, and this is the space where we get to talk about it all because every role in theater matters. And this is the space where we get to laugh, learn, and sometimes call out the chaos. So sign in on the sheet, because it's call time. I would love to introduce my guest today, who is a fabulous performer, a fabulous vocalist, but also importantly, she is a fantastic teacher. And I would love to highlight everything about her today, so I would love to welcome my guest, Rachel.
Hello! Thank you so much, Marisa, for having me on.
Happy to have you here, dear. So excited. Here's what's coming up on today's show.
Seriously, I so relate because it went down to my skirt, and so I'm holding on to my skirt with one hand to make it not drop.
So what do you guys want to do today? And they're like, can we listen to Carmen again? That was really cool. And I was like, ha ha ha, it worked!
And they had a cast of 94 kids.
Oh my gosh, wasn't that great?
Oh, I'm just blown away. Amazing. Okay, so with the show that we just did, it was Awesome or Ozmazing.
Ooh, I love a pun, and I love a Wizard of Oz pun. So that's, or unless you're the first school to do Wicked Junior, which
now that's an idea.
Let's go.
Whoa.
Let's get that going. Oh my gosh, I can see it now.
MPI, Encore Theatricals.
I love it.
But
I have a question for you.
Okay.
In my heart of hearts, I truly believe that there is good theater cringe and bad theater cringe. And there's quite the divide on this, but I would love to know what you define that as in your own personal experience.
Oof. Okay. First, bad theater cringe is when the music track cuts out during an intense scene and they're either singing or talking and it's just dead air when there's supposed to be dramatic music. That to me is like my heart would sink and I'm like, these poor people on the stage, just the amount of their misery and oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
Another bad theater cringe is someone's mic is on while people are on stage and you can hear the whole conversation.
Oh my god. And then that's when you hear what people really think of others and the audience themselves. Oh my gosh.
I feel comfortable sharing this story. I think another bad theater cringe is coming from the performance standpoint when your mic pack undoes itself and your mic is dropping. That happened to me in School of Rock.
My
looking at the actor that's playing Dewey and I'm like, get me off this. I'm literally like, I have to go.
It's method acting, it's real life. Oh my god, art imitates life. But I hate that too. Oh my gosh, I'll never forget. This was Thoroughly Modern Millie in high school. And the mic pack is just positioned really weird. I knew it wasn't going to last, but thankfully the way I was, holding myself, I was like, okay, if I just keep my posture like this, I'll be fine. And then right when I do just the only form of real movement, which was, just turning this way, it decides to just drop down through my pants, hits the floor. And it just makes the biggest sound, and we're all just like, I'm just gonna lean down, and then you can't really do anything because it's like through my pant leg.
Yeah.
So I'm like bent over. I'm like, alrighty, and onward we go.
Seriously, I so relate because it went down to my skirt, and so I'm holding on to my skirt with one hand to make it not drop. While I'm holding on to two different props. I feel you there. But good theater cringe, yes. I say, campy songs that go on for too long. Like Spam-A-Lot.
Yes. Yes. Very good God. Cringe.
Every show there comes a song like this. That to me is like pinnacle cringe, but campy, and I'm so here for it. Another good theater cringe is actually something that happened in my school's production of The Wizard of Oz. We had a stuffed animal for Toto, and we used sound effects of a dog barking for the Toto barks. But there's a scene where Toto's supposed to run back on stage to the three friends to tell them that where Dorothy is.
Right.
And somebody backstage just tossed the stuffed animal right onto the stage. That is good theater cringe because it breaks the tension. It makes you remember these are children having fun. It just, it was wonderful.
Awesome.
Love it.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with me. I really appreciate it. As kind of a segue into our conversation at hand, which is theater education in schools, specifically for young children, I decided to go on to MTI's website, which is Musical Theater International, and I've been so curious about what shows have been trending for junior versions versus high school editions, and I want you to guess what you think the top 5 junior productions are at this moment that are trending.
I think Moana's trending. I think okay, but it's a junior production, so it doesn't have to necessarily be done by elementary students.
Right.
So I'm gonna guess Beetlejuice is trending. I'm thinking about all the new titles that are out right now that might be gaining traction. Yeah, those are the only 2 that I can think of because all the others have been in NTI for a while now. Maybe Alice in Wonderland because they redid the script and now it's gaining traction again because it's back on the market.
I didn't realize that they had redone the script. That's interesting.
Yeah. Apparently it needed some tailoring.
Now I'm really curious because I did Alice in Wonderland Junior, and I'm like, what did they? Do you know what they changed?
I saw a production of it recently, actually, at a middle school. It was really fun. I don't know. It combines some of the music from Danny Elfman.
Oh,
yes, they combine a bit of his music, and there are some Disney musicals, I noticed with the junior ones, they sometimes have those little nods to other shows. So, spoilers for the junior versions of musicals.
Oh no!
You don't want to get spoiled, turn away.
If you don't want to get spoiled, just skip ahead to the next part of the conversation.
A reference to another show. Yeah. Yes!
I love that.
So, in Moana Junior, Tamatoa makes a reference to Little Mermaid by saying, after he looks at the heart, but it's not the heart of Te Fiti, he's like, oh, Sebastian never had to put up with this.
That's cute.
And in Alice in Wonderland, there are all these different kinds of references. They even put in Mary Poppins with Step in Time. And at this production that I saw, they did some of the Step in Time with the high knees.
Wow. Fantastic. Wow. But trending this week for MTI, we have, starting at number 5, a classic, Annie Jr.
Oh, okay. I could see that.
The classics are coming back. I've seen a lot of people kind of revamping Annie, especially since, I don't know if you saw, this wasn't a junior production, but did you see the video of Annie Australia? There is footage of the Miss Hannigan, Rooster, and Lily St. Regis doing the most incredible choreography for Easy Street.
That's what it was. I didn't realize it was Australia. And there was moving set behind them as they're transitioning through New York, right?
Yeah, that and then just killer choreography, which you don't normally think of when you think of those 3 characters. So that was really cool. Number 4 is Disney's Aladdin Jr. The last time I saw Aladdin Jr., everyone had very thick New Jersey accents. And so it kind of, I don't want to be it kind of took me out of where I was. No, but.
It wasn't Agrabah.
No, it wasn't Agrabah. Number 3, we have Disney's Frozen Jr., which I actually haven't seen. I've only seen little clips of here and there, but I don't know how the full show is as a whole.
My musical theater hot take is I don't think Frozen should be on stage.
Okay, we need to derail for a second. I want to know, please.
I believe that with, first of all, being completely upfront, I'm not a big fan of Frozen. Never was. But to that being said, there's this magical element to it that is so beautifully captured in animation that to bring that to the stage, I feel like Beauty and the Beast did a really nice job of capturing magic and bringing it to stagecraft, but I just feel like something like ice magic, where icicles are coming around you, that kind of visual is kind of, hinted at, I guess, when you're in, because live theater is completely different. So I don't know. That's just my hot take. I feel like if you're gonna show that kind of magic, it should be more screen and animation.
I completely respect that. Like, I'll be completely honest. I saw Frozen on Broadway twice, and there were definitely parts of the show that I was like, okay, this translates well. But then there were definitely some elements that are like, ice magic related that I was like, okay. I think that there are some things that are just kind of better in animation because that's what it was meant for to begin with. So I'm with you there. You're like the first person to ever tell me that, though, so I think that's really interesting, and thank you for being honest. All right, so number 2, we have Roald Dahl's Matilda the Musical Junior, which I love it. I got to see that on Broadway as well, and that was my first solo Broadway trip, and that was just like, wow. But to see kids do this, like a junior production, I think it would hit a lot harder. I'm not gonna cry right now. But the number 1 trending this week
is
junior production is Disney's Finding Nemo Jr.
Oh my goodness, not my dad. So, true story, that viral kid with the puppet, I know his voice teacher. That was my voice teacher from back in high school. Shout out to Katie Gornick. Love you, Katie. So when I saw that go viral, I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of connection there. That's my hometown. I know and he's so talented. Like, I heard him sing the Star Spangled Banner. Like, go.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What a small freaking world it is. Oh my god, that's so cool though. I love that. Well, cool. So that was our top 5. I'm Casey Kasem.
Are you familiar with the Disney Musicals grant?
No, please tell us more.
Sure. Disney Musicals in Schools is an amazing grant that is in, let's say, maybe 10 states here. I mean, they've got some in California. They got New York. They got one in the Midwest, I think, and they got it in Florida in 2 locations, if not 3. And the one local to me is with the Kravis Center. And basically, a Title I school can sign up for this grant that allows you, on your first year, you get free rights to a kid production, so a 30-minute production. And you get a teaching artist to come in and help you and your team put on a show. And they help you through that process. And then year 2, I think you still have free rights, and the teaching artist is kind of not showing up all the time, but will check on you. The 3rd year, it's 50% off of a title. And then by 4th year, it's meant to help establish a theater program in the elementary schools to bring theater to elementary schools.
I sent out 2 questions on our social media. First thing I asked them, I wanted to know, if people had a theater program in their school, like not high school, but like middle school, elementary school, because I was just curious, because personally, I didn't have a theater program in my elementary middle school. And it looks like, according to the poll, 79% of people did have a program and 21% did not, which is large. It's larger than I thought, because I genuinely just didn't know how many people would have that in their school. And then I was doing a little research on, on the other percentages of schools that have programs and don't. And since 2000, according to the National Center for Education Statistics, approximately 20% of public elementary schools offer theater and drama instruction. But since 2010, it has slowly declined about 4%. and is continuing to decline. For middle school, since 1994, there's been about 54% of middle schools having separate drama and theater instruction after school. Since 2010, according to the National Endowment of the Arts, it has decreased to about 45%, which is shocking to me. Shocking and yet not shocking, because we all know that the first thing to get cut in most schools is unfortunately the arts. And I want to know from your perspective as an educator how that feels and how that affects you.
It depends upon the school, because there are a lot of more contributing factors than just budget cuts. There's also how the systems in place work to keep a program going. Mm-hmm. So a lot of it, yes, they're at the mercy of what their county or what their township has in the budget. But for example, Palm Beach is very good about the arts programs. They're very much like all about music, all about arts, as well as sustaining other academic programs. So we have no fears about that. However, that being said, it's a large county and not every elementary school, in fact, only a handful do a musical program. And a lot of that has to do with keeping the systems in place and the teachers who are willing to keep it going. Because it's hard when you work a full day of teaching and then you give more hours of your day towards rehearsing. I can speak from my experience that my old school no longer is doing a musical ever since I left, because there was no one there that was able to sustain it. So it happens, unfortunately, and there are so many different factors put into it. It makes me feel sad that they're missing out on it. Especially, I'm all about vertical alignment. So if you have, let's say, an amazing high school theater program, but you have no middle school or no elementary theater program to build it up, then you're kind of making all of the high school teachers have to do the heavy lifting. And that's of no fault of anybody. It's just a fact of the vertical alignment. It's not there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, versus if there was even a middle school theater department, then the middle schoolers have something to look forward to when they get to high school. Without that vertical alignment, I feel like that's why a lot of these programs are dying. That there's not a lot of sustaining there. Sustainability is a big thing, because it's a lot. It's a lot to put on production. It takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, no, I can. Obviously, I am not in the school system. I am a private educator, and that already is a lot as well. But like, this is again why I say thank you for your service, because you really put in so much to give these kids the experience that ultimately just like helps them grow and makes them excited about the arts in general.
It builds community. It builds confidence. It's helping them with processing and understanding emotions and how everybody is different and embracing storytelling. It's very human.
Yeah.
You know something? There is a little level of theater or performance in music programs. Like, I know from the social media groups that I'm a part of that there are fantastic elementary music teachers that put on concerts that are a spectacle of themselves, like a whole Halloween thing where there's dance and there's percussion and there's singing. So in a way, these students are exposing themselves to what would be considered kind of like live performance theater, while not being traditionally a musical theater or theater program.
Now, this is the part of the show where I would normally have an ad read, but I don't have those yet, so we're just gonna sit here and look at the camera.
It's 5:30 at night. Do you know where your children are? You have to be this amount old to know what that was.
All right, and welcome back to Call Time, a theater pod. We are here with Rachel, and we are talking about theater education for kids. But before we really get into that, I want to talk to you about you. You know, what led you to wanting to be a teacher?
Oh, wow, what a question. I have loved music for most of my life, and I was choir and theater. That was the biggest thing from the time that I was in 5th grade all the way through high school. And when I was about to graduate high school, I said to myself, I could either go 2 routes. I could either go the performance route or I could go the education route. And when I was helping my fellow classmates find their voice and like help them with singing, I'm like, I think I'm gonna go the teacher route. I got into my dream school. I got my butt kicked in how to sing classically. I needed that because it gave me the tools that I needed. And I moved down here and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get my music teacher job. This is gonna happen. And lo and behold, like 2 months after moving, I got my first job. Preparation for this career is all well and good, but you don't know what you're doing until you're actually doing it. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. And so, like, this is my 8th year being a music teacher, elementary music teacher to be very specific. I've been doing it for a while, so I have all these tools in my tool belt that I can take out. And what really matters is getting to know the kids. Because once I really understand the kids, it's easier for us to like play and have fun. So, like, to give you an example, my 5th graders, I do it on a weekly basis. And each time I'm seeing these kids, I'm like, you guys, this is going to be your last week of music for your elementary career. So guess what? We're going to have lots of fun. And so throughout the year, they've learned different music games, whether that's instrumental or singing. And I'm always sneaking in a few musical elements there because I gamify it to make it fun.
Of course, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah. And so what we're doing now is I have a spinning wheel and they name all of the activities that they've enjoyed and they don't realize that they're either practicing steady beat, they don't realize that they're practicing their singing voice. Like, and they're 5th grade, so they're ready for middle school. But we're playing a game that's a jumping competition. It's got a little song that you got to sing before you do the jumping competition. And lo and behold, what happens? They get into it, and like the majority of them are singing the part that they're supposed to be singing. And I'm just like, I'm assessing your voice, and you don't even realize that that's happening. The magic of teaching.
Sneaky. I love it.
Yeah, and I just love that because it's the spark. These kids need to be kids, and they do that through play. And that's the best part about my job is we play, but we learn.
That is so beautiful. I really, really love that. I think a lot of people always think that when you teach kids, it's, you have to like show authority and be stricter and like it has to be serious, but I think that there's a balance.
There is a balance. Like, you can't be a pushover. You have to like set your boundaries and be clear about what it's like to step into the space and how we treat and respect the space. But at the same time, though, it's giving that freedom to be like, okay, I'm putting this in your hands right now. Let's see what we can do. And if we flounder, we flounder. Okay, cool. Let's try again and let's try something different. Just like how I flounder as a teacher sometimes. It's like, that didn't go right. Cool. Let's move on and try something different. But that's the beauty of my job, is really like experimenting and kind of being performative. Like, I sing to my kids. If they keep on talking during my lesson, I'll just break into song. I'll be like, you're still talking. Or maybe they're really into Wicked. Or last year we did Moana, so I would do, I wish you would stop talking. I could keep going, but I guess that won't happen.
I love that. I love that a lot because it's like very genuine and a little bit of sass, but also like relatable to them, I guess.
Yeah, like, I can assuredly say that if you asked my students what is Miss Begleiter like, she's kind of kooky. She's fun.
She's love that.
She's unpredictable. You're not knowing what you're gonna get from her, and I'm like, that's kind of the point. I keep you on your toes.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, I love that a lot. When I was a camp counselor, I was teaching theater, right? And I had this group of 5th grade boys who did not want to be there by any means whatsoever. Okay, they were like, theater's lame. This is really stupid. This is for girls, like that kind of stuff. And because they refused to participate, I was like, well, I'm not going to make you do anything you don't want to. So we're just going to sit here and we're going to put on some music and we'll make it music appreciation. And they were like, "Oh, okay, cool. What are you gonna put on?" And I was like, "Well, okay, since I'm still, the counselor here, I'm gonna choose the music." And I would just put on like Puccini, put on, Bizet, and I would just put on opera.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Opera, ew, gross." But then because the kids kept being rowdy and disruptive, I would alternate, be like, "Okay, music appreciation time," and they kept thinking I was going to choose something else, but I would just keep playing opera.
I love that.
And then by the end of it, I was like, "Okay, so what do you guys want to do today?" And they're like, "Can we listen to Carmen again? That was really cool." And I was like, "Ha ha ha, it worked."
It warms my heart better than hearing that a 5th grade boy wants to hear Bizet. Like,
oh my god.
Oh my god.
And because then they started performing it like themselves and like being really basically putting on the show for me and the school nurse, because we shared the same space. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." I did after they performed a little bit of it. Like, this was like the last day I was with them. I went, "Hey guys, that was so fantastic. I didn't realize you guys were such thespians. You guys are wonderful actors and performers and mimes and clowns." And they're like, "That's what theater is?" And I went, "Yeah, that's what theater is." And they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was like just, boring stuff or like Romeo and Juliet." I was like, "It's so much more."
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Before I go on more tangents. So since you work and in education and you do shows with your students, I think this is a question that, I didn't know for a long time and other people have asked me. Can you please tell us the difference between a full-length show, a junior show, and a school edition?
I can answer the question about full-length versus junior. Full-length is pretty much the same kind of libretto as you would see a regional community or Broadway theater would use. It is the true libretto, one act, then the second act. When it comes to a junior version, whatever the show is, they are condensing it into a one-act structure that would be an hour long in length. Now, if a production would like to make a cut and do a intermission in between, maybe, but it's genuinely intended to be an hour-length show. Kid version is condensing the story even more to make it only 30 minutes long. So, for example, I don't think MTI has a Jungle Book Junior, but they have a Jungle Book Kids, and that's the version that my kids did. Even though actually it would be awesome to have a junior version because it would lengthen out the story a little bit more. But the story itself is very simple that you can break it to just 30 minutes. And school edition, when I saw Chicago, what I noticed is they changed words. So, for example, some explicit language was taken out, yet a few cuss words stayed in. Some sexual implications were muted.
I was gonna say it's Chicago.
At all. And I mean, they did have the Merry Murderesses, so they did have the Cell Block Tango, and I think there was only a few lyrical changes to make it school appropriate and, watering down the language to fit appropriate for teenagers to perform in for the teen edition. So I believe, from my perspective of understanding, is that teen edition and school edition soften language and make it more appropriate to the age that is performing it, rather than the production that you would see, like I said, regional or community or off Broadway or Broadway.
Interesting, because I had only know the junior shows. It's like there are junior show scripts that I've seen that are like very like cherry picking, and they pick out like, I don't want to say the good parts because that's not always the case, but like they pick out the parts that make the most sense in a streamline that shorten the show and make it more appropriate.
Yes.
Versus like a full length, which is, usually what it is. But that's okay.
Yeah, and the typical thing about junior versions is they either add multiple characters to a character that's one character. So, for example, Cheshire Cat is like multiple Cheshire Cats making up the Cheshire Cat. In Moana Jr., there is Tamatoa, and then there's Claw on the left and Claw on the right. Um, there are, and they have the chief ancestors that are like the Greek chorus that give the introduction of the story of Maui at the beginning of the story, even though we know from the movie version it's Grammatala that tells the story. So it's these little changes that give the performance more opportunities for different kids to get a featured role.
And I love that. I think that that's really perfect. I'm also of the idea that, not every, but if not most shows would do better if they had a Greek chorus. So I love that we're introducing this early. Exactly. Greek chorus. Exactly. But like, I think that that's really cool because then when the kids get older and they see like a full length production or they see another production that's different, they're like, oh wow, I had this opportunity to do it this way, and therefore the role becomes more special to me.
You just hit a core memory that I would like to share.
Please.
So, our regional theater had the US tour of Aladdin.
Awesome.
And they came to the Kravis Center, and when they were doing their performance, the theater has an opportunity for schools to perform in the lobby before the show.
Wow.
And that was when my students were doing Aladdin Kids. And so I had them performing a few of the songs before we went to see Aladdin. So we performed in the lobby. We went to see Aladdin. We were up in the nosebleeds. And the most magical moment was Genie during Friend Like Me. He ad-libs a little bit before they take it home to that closure. And he yelled out, "Let's hear it to the nice kids in the back." And I'm sitting next to my students. I'm like, that's nice. It was a core memory. Like, just amazing.
I love that.
I feel like that experience empowered those students to like give it their all after they saw professionals perform the characters that they're going to be performing. It just
that's a wonderful feeling. Oh my gosh. I'd be beaming and so proud. Like that is incredible. I love that so much. I'm like emotional. Awesome. I want to know typically, how many kids do you work with in a show?
I want to go back to my previous experiences. So yes. I would do directing for summer camps. And that was typically a cast of 20-something or 30 kids. Then when I did schools at my first school, performances, words, musicals at my first school, it was, I think we cut it at around 40-something, not even 50.
Wow.
And the school that I work at now, we go extra. So like, for example, the year before I joined the team, they did Lion King for their 10-year anniversary. So we're talking in roughly 14 years that this school has been doing musicals. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. And they had a cast of 94 kids. 94 in that production. And then when I joined on for Moana, we started at around 80 and then we dwindled down to 75. That was our cast. And in doing The Wizard of Oz, we had 85. But I would say to any program that has a large population, that it's 75. For the poor costumers. I mean, like,
yeah. Oh my goodness.
It's a lot of costumes and a lot of work. And it causes a lot of undue stress. So yes, I would say 75 would be the sweet spot for if you have a large amount of kids. If you don't, I would say that 45 is solid. Look, I mean, this is coming from a kid who was in productions where from 5th grade to 8th grade, they took in everybody. You were not kicked out. And I think that's because it was just one town, and it's different when you're in a huge county like I am in Florida. And I vividly remember being in the chorus. I was in the chorus for Beauty and the Beast, The Enchantment of Beauty and the Beast. And then we did Seussical when I was in 6th grade,
I love
and
Seussical.
I was in one scene. I'm sorry, I was in the beginning scene for the Things You Can Think. I was in the Circus McGurkus as like a gypsy.
Nice.
And then so every
Best
school,
parts.
I know, right? But every school is different. So that's why I'm sharing like all these different perspectives to be like, there's no one way to do it. You just find the way that works best for you.
I love that. And oh my God, I'm still reeling over like 94. That's
I don't know how they did
that's
it.
so many kids.
See, I thought from the audience, like, oh, this is so cool. They surrounded us for Circle of Life. I loved it.
Well, okay, that's cool. I
Right.
love that. And then what's the age range of these kids?
Absolutely. Yep. 3rd grade through 5th grade.
Okay, yes. Lots of lots of different ages and lots of different wow. Sorry, I'm just like thinking of 94 kids. Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. And like I'm assuming the kids just have a good time from beginning to end, but like are they ever like are they ever like confused about how things work during the process?
The little ones, yes. It's at 3rd grade, it's training them to know what it's like to be on a stage, difference between stage left and stage right, and um what else? Just getting them to understand what blocking is and how you cheat out, how you project your voice, training them to know, no, you don't wave to your parents while you're on stage. I actually saw there is I'm not going to name the school, but there is a music school that did a production of Beauty and the Beast Junior that I went to see because one of my students was in it. And there were some ensemble members that were waving to their parents during the performance. And I was just like,
Oh. Like it's so cute, but like stay in it. Stay in it.
present. Yeah. So it's just getting them involved in theater and teaching them that language. And then once they're done with that, by the time I can say that the 3rd graders that we worked with this year definitely showed more confidence after the production was over. They're like, wow, like we did that. We're so ready for next year. And that's where you want them to be, where they've gained that confidence that going into 4th grade and then 5th grade, there's that thorough line of like, yeah, we know what we're doing. You have to give the elements of what it means to be in a show to have them gain that understanding.
Fantastic, and it's actually interesting. I'm assuming that there can be conversations with the kids about like the importance of being in the ensemble and versus having a lead or a featured, because I'm sure that they have a lot of big feelings about these things.
A lot of feelings, yes. And the biggest thing we drive home is that everyone is important on that stage because we want you to stand out in the best way possible.
Yes.
If you don't give it your all, you're going to stand out in the not so good way possible. There are ways that we can empower the students. For example, we have them writing down their character's name and giving them a job. Let's say it's the Wizard of Oz, right? You are in the Emerald City. And we even talk about the song Merry Land of Oz. Like, your life is really good. We get up at 12 and start to work at 1, take an hour for lunch, and then by 2 we're done. Did you really work? No. So like, have the kids brainstorming what kind of jobs or occupations would these Emerald City citizens have? And a lot of them wanted to be yoga instructors and hairstylists and movie stars and fashion designers. And they empowered themselves and they brought that to life in the scene. And for the Munchkins, we had them think, what is Munchkinland like? Like, let's watch the movie clip. Let's look at the lyrics to it. And they picked their Munchkin character. And what kind of personality is your Munchkin? How can you bring that personality to life? And and you saw that little sparkle. And it was so fun for the kids to share that experience. And just amazing.
I'm obsessed with that in so many ways. It can stay with them forever and be like, I was the yoga instructor of the Emerald City when I was a kid. Like, that's
Yes.
That's iconic. I really I love that. You know, exactly. You know, and it just makes it a better world building experience for them too, because you know, you're teaching them that it's not just about the main story, it's about the entire world of it. And uh that makes me so happy.
And it was so good for us to like connect things to Wicked, because that inspired them to like watch the movie and then like come up with ideas after they saw the Emerald City citizens in like one short day.
Yeah.
So there's some fun crossover there.
I love that. Oh my god. I Cheers to the yoga instructor of Oz. I It's my favorite thing in the world. I am obsessed. I am obsessed with that. I think that should just be the thing from now on. I really, really do. And so, you know, I'm curious though now.
Yes.
What drew you to work with kids rather than college students or teaching in a high school or anything like that?
I am a kid at heart, so I am naturally drawn to working with children because there is that inner sense of life. Life has not jaded these kids yet. They still have this breath of life that is new energy. And that's what I love that they bring it, because they bring their enthusiasm and their curiosity to it, which is amazing. I feel like I tap into working with them because if not working with them, then where is their inspiration to do that as they get older? If it doesn't start with when they're young and trying to discover, like, where is my purpose in the world? What is something that I can enjoy that can help me through this thing called life and inspire me to do whatever path that I want and give me the courage to try new things? Why not do it when I'm young? And I can, even if I don't go on and do this as a career, I can say, yeah, I did that. And there are a lot of people, me personally, that know that did some kind of theater in their life, and they have a core memory. My mom was in Guys and Dolls in high school. She is not a singer, but she was told that she was an actor. So she was like one of the tellers in the city or whatever in the ensemble. So like that's the idea, right? We all have these unique talents that we can unlock from just participating in one thing. And theater is just a great avenue for that, a great vehicle for that. And yeah, that's really, besides having fun with the kids and creating something wonderful, that to me is what inspires me to keep going with it. Is like, this is the start of something amazing for them. And where they choose to go after this is entirely up to them.
Blessica. That's really all I have to say is Blessica. Oh my gosh. That is the most
That one before.
I did not create that. That was given to me by a friend and I have used it ever since. But like that's really the only way I can express how I feel after hearing that, because like that is so eloquently said and so inspiring, and just I'm so glad that there are teachers like you that feel that way. You know, cuz some people just treat it differently than what you feel.
I want to say out to the universe that I'm not the only one. Like literally there are the amazing teachers that I work with that have this same passion. We do it for the kids. We love it. And they've been doing it longer than me, and they're amazing at it. And let me shout out to the universe that I'm sure throughout the country there are elementary music teachers who also help out with their theater production, and they have that same passion and that same drive. So, you know, the more we speak it into existence, the more you're going to see it in the universe. So I say right now, give us more, please, more of that, because our world needs it. We need positivity. We need to have fun.
I'm really glad that you have that passion to work with them like this. Alrighty, we are gonna go on to our next segment, which is the Green Room Games. And so what we are going to do is I have a spinner off screen that I can't share because of technology that has a bunch of names of musicals, and I'm going to spin it, land on one, and Rachel, you are going to describe the show to me in 1 minute or less. All right, first one, it's spinning, 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 spin. Oh, well, what do you know? It's School of Rock.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay, so there's this guy named Dewey Finn, and he lives in this apartment, and his best friend is like, you gotta get a job, otherwise we're gonna kick you out. And then he receives a phone call from Horace Green, and it's like for his friend Ned Schneebly, and he finds out that it's for a lot of money, so he's pretending to be Ned Schneebly, and he shows up and he's thinking this is going to be an easy gig, I'm going to be a substitute, whatever. And so he shows up and he acts really nasty to the kids, and he doesn't do anything the first day, and then he comes to realize these kids actually play music. What? So they get together and form a band, but he's keeping this a secret away from the teacher, or not the teacher, the principal, Rosalie Mullins. And,
Ooh, you
gee,
played.
I know her very well. and basically Act 1 ends with them putting on a performance, and they get into the Battle of the Bands, because he's all about Battle of the Bands. And so they're getting ready for Battle of the Bands, and there's a moment where he has this thing with the principal. I don't know, we're skipping that. And then we get right along to Parents' Night, and Parents' Night is the night of Battle of the Bands, because we had to have all this intensity happening at the same time. And that's when the liar reveal happens, when Ned Schneebly and his girlfriend come in, and his girlfriend says, he's an imposter! And it's revealed that he's not Ned Schneebly, he's Dewey Finn! And then the parents are so furious at the principal, and they all go to Battle of the Bands. But guess what? The kids were amazing. They perform, they rock and roll, and the parents fall in love with that. And then Dewey gets hired as the music coach, and everyone lives happily ever after, because stick it to the man.
Yeah! Oh, awesome. Let's do another one. Spinning, 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 spinning. The Little Mermaid.
Okay, there's this, she's a mermaid, and...
Is she little?
I don't know if she's little. She's not little.
She's average.
She's average. And she just wants a pair of legs. That's all she wants. She's obsessed. She is a human fangirl. She's a fangirl of humans and human culture. It just fascinates her. And then she sees this guy. She sees him from a shipwreck, and she falls in love with him. Daddy doesn't like it that much and destroys her little den of geeky things. And so what does she do? She turns to Auntie Ursula. And Auntie Ursula says, sign this contract and you can be with your man and be a human. But you just got to give me your voice. And Ariel's like, sure, why not? So she gives her voice, she gets a pair of legs, and she bonds with the prince, and they go on this journey, and her fish friends and her bird friend help her out. And lo and behold, oh my goodness, Ursula has this plan to make sure that she doesn't kiss him, because if she kisses him, she could stay human forever. But if she doesn't get a kiss, she turns back into a mermaid and becomes a prisoner or like a slave to Ursula. And so in the ultimate scene, Ursula pretends to be Vanessa and like make the prince fall in love, and lo and behold, things happen. Characters come into play to try to like ruin Ursula's plan. The shell breaks, the voice is released, Ariel can now talk and sing, oh my goodness, yay! And then they have to take on Ursula. Ursula dies by they shish kebab her. And then...
Ouch.
Yes. And then everyone except for Ursula lives happily ever after.
Everyone except Ursula, in brackets. I love that. Beautiful. All right, let's do one more. Spinning, 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 spinning. Let's see. Oh! Aladdin!
Oh my gosh. Okay. Welcome to Agrabah, City of Mystery and Enchantment. Enchantment.
You had the accent. Enchantment.
Enchantment. Where there's this orphan, Aladdin, and he is down in his luck. He's a street rat, and he is stealing things, and he dreams of what it might be like to live in the palace. On the other side is Jasmine. She's all locked up in the palace, and she wants to be on the outside where she's free. And then we got our villain Jafar, who wants the lamp so that he could have the power of the genie and to rule Agrabah. And he realizes, uh-oh, Aladdin is the diamond in the rough. He needs this kid to get the lamp for him. And so he tricks Aladdin to go to the cave and steal the lamp. And he tries to eliminate Aladdin. That doesn't work out so good. They get stuck in the Cave of Wonders. And Genie comes out, does a whole song and dance, friend like me. Aladdin cons him into getting them out. And Genie thinks that it's the first wish, but it's not. So the first wish is to make him a prince. He thinks that's what's going to win Jasmine's heart. He's wrong. And the second wish, I believe, is when Jafar tries to intervene and Aladdin almost dies again, so Genie has to save him. Maybe I'm just thinking of the movie. Then there's a whole debacle of the lamp getting taken away because they have a little bit of a falling out, Aladdin and Genie. And Jafar becomes the owner of the lamp and rules Genie. Oh no. And there's this whole battle of Jafar revealing that Prince Ali is the street rat Aladdin, and Jasmine's like, I didn't know, even though she sort of really did know because she's smart. And Aladdin tricks Jafar into wanting his wish to become a genie, and thus shrinks him into another lamp, and Aladdin then gains power over the original genie lamp, and his last wish is to set Genie free. And he's free. He's out of there. He's going to see the world. And it's a whole new world out there, everybody.
For you and me.
For you and me.
Aw, wonderful. Good job. Thank you so much, Rachel, for playing the Green Room Games. So what we're going to do now is we are going to address the second question that I posted on our social media page, which is primarily our Instagram. But if you join our Patreon, which is right here, you get early access to these questions and a whole lot more shenanigans, including, extra content, live streams, personal messages. It's a good old time. You should check us out here. Question. The question is, what is a show that should not have a junior or school edition?
There are
so many, and the response that I got, thank you to everybody that responded to this. I also want to let everybody know that everyone basically said the same 4 shows. So I'm glad to see that everyone is kind of in agreement here, but I would love to mention some to you and see how you feel about this.
Okay.
So the first one I got, which kind of surprised me because I'm pretty sure that a school edition of this exists, is Mean Girls.
Yes, and there's a junior version of Mean Girls too.
Really?
Yes. Mean Girls Junior. That's a thing.
How? I'm intrigued to know how they would adjust that script.
I'm intrigued too, but also no.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really want to see it. I'll read it, but I don't want to see it. Same thing with, I think there's a school edition of this now, is Hadestown.
Wow. Okay.
Because I think there's a high school edition. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's the Greek mythology. So if they're studying Greek mythology in the classroom, I guess it could work.
Yeah.
I think it might just be hard to do production wise because there's some pretty iconic things to that show, like the turntable that I don't know how they do that. If you've done a school version of Hadestown, please tell us how you did these things because I don't know. All right. The next one I have here is, Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Yeah, I don't think that will ever get a junior version.
No, or even a school version. Just no.
But I'm just imagining a child in the Hedwig wig and thinking that that's just a funny sight, but I want no more than that. Rent.
Okay, but so junior, I agree, but there actually is a school version of Rent.
What do they cut?
That is a question that I can't answer because I've actually never seen the school edition of Rent. I don't know. It's a very mature story.
For anyone watching that actually has these answers, please put them in the comments. Educate us, please. We all want to know. But but it's also very interesting you say that because, like, yeah, the school version exists, and yet I have never seen anyone do the production. I think people are like, this is weird. If you've done the production, I genuinely would love to know how that went, because I feel like people are kind of hesitant to do that, for good reason. Okay. The next one I have here is Hair, which I think is funny for so many reasons, and obviously correct. It should never in a junior or a school edition. I don't care if...
Hey, it's such a timely musical. Like, you have to know the context in order to even get it. And second of all, inappropriate.
Yeah. In so many ways. Like, I saw a production of Hair where instead of everybody, you know, how Act 1 ends, they were wearing, you know, bodysuits with words written across the bodysuits. And I was like, okay. It's still a choice. You're committing to it, but like I don't want there to be any risk there with the kids. I don't want it ever in my entire life.
I don't think that's in the human consciousness that anyone would conceive of doing a school edition of Hair. If that's in the human consciousness, we have to get it out of the human consciousness.
Agreed. Hey, you thinking about doing that? Don't. Don't be a hero. And then the number one thing that I had a lot of people write into me about is something where I definitely have thoughts. I know you will have thoughts, but the number one show that I was sent was Into the Woods, because it's only one act. That is, everyone has said the same thing. I hate that there's only one act of Into the Woods Junior. There shouldn't be Into the Woods Junior because it's only the first act. Now, I saw, the first time I ever saw a production of Into the Woods Junior, I was just confused because I was like, oh, I feel like maybe the point was lost, but I'm curious to know your thoughts on this.
It's an odd choice. I feel like they did that because they wanted to have closure. Like, plus it's such a mature theme, what happens in Act 2, and the seriousness of it would be lost on kids age range wise that would be doing the junior production.
Yeah.
So the only way that they did it, it makes sense, but I agree, like, author's intent of the way the story was supposed to go, it doesn't make sense. But narratively, Act 1 does close with a nice little neat bow, and so it kind of ends the way all fairy tales end, as they come together, so it makes sense, but it also doesn't make sense because that's just not how Into the Woods was intended to be seen.
Right, and, you know, I think it's interesting because, you know, like you said, it ends the way all fairy tales end, so there is, like, the morality play aspect of it, where, like, lessons are learned. We have learned from this time together, and for kids, these are things that they should learn, you know, and, you know, I think it's also, like, because adults kind of know what happens next, you know, there are people who look at the junior version of Into the Woods and they're like, it's something's missing. They don't know. The kids don't know.
Don't know.
And you know what? They won't know until they're older, and that's when it matters. So I want to know now, do you have a favorite junior production that's available that you either have done or haven't done yet?
That is a great question. I don't know if I have a favorite junior version. I feel like I think Moana Junior does a really nice job of tying in the movie and making it fun and accessible in an hour-long length. It's hard, though. It's hard music.
Yeah.
But I feel like kid-wise, they really get into it. They enjoy it. I was actually in a production of Into the Woods Junior, and I had fun with that.
Is there a show that you hope gets a junior or a teen or a show, a school edition?
So many. Oh my gosh. Encanto Junior.
Well, yeah.
Come on, Disney
Let's let's bring that back around.
Yes.
Let's talk about Encanto.
Yeah.
I'm willing to go in on that. Let's get a producer on board. Let's get a scriptwriter. I would totally... Lynn?
Seriously.
Lynn, Mr. Miranda, we are you and I know each other. We've met a few times. You helped me in high school. Let's do it. Let's go. I am here for that.
I'm telling you, the kids of America want it.
Yes, they do.
We don't talk about Bruno, and they want to bring that story to life. Help us bring.
Oh my God, it'd be so iconic, because then you have like the kids singing along in the audience during that part, and then it becomes a whole shared experience, and like that's, I love that kind of camaraderie with kids. That's wonderful. Amazing. So, as we wrap up here, Rachel, is there anything that you would like to put out into the universe, whether it's to promote something or just anything you'd like to say or feel?
I'd like to say that if anyone wants to be a part of theater, I say go for it. Do it, because you are going to experience the most amazing community, and you're going to create something really special. If you are a parent and you're considering having your kid try out theater, I say do it, because it is going to help your child get really courageous and explore their imagination and make lifelong friends. And even if they don't continue it, after just one show or two, they're definitely going to have some core memories to walk away from. So yeah, just support your local theaters. Encourage kids to go out and use their imagination, play, have fun. Life is meant to be fun.
Yes, it is. I couldn't have said it better myself. That is, wonderful. It was so awesome having you here, Rachel.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
I'm so excited for everything that's coming for you, like everything in your career, like as a teacher, as a performer, as a vocalist, as everything. Like you just deserve all the goodness. You just do.
As do you, girl. Thank you so much. I'm so excited for this podcast to launch off. It's just amazing already. Love it.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I would like to thank everybody for tuning in to this episode of Call Time, a Theater Pod. My name is Marisa Helene Mast. You're the audience. Bye-bye now.